Hello and welcome to The Voice. My name is Joseph Salama and I'm here today with Matthew FitzGerald, Independent for Director of Policy and Procedures. Thanks for coming out. Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just dive right in. I think the most relevant question I can ask you, and the one that everyone's really wondering, is that you're running as an independent, which traditionally in ASUW has not reaped much success. Secondly, you're running specifically for Director of Policy and Procedures, where you could have picked any position running independently. So I guess my two main questions are, why run independently at all? And secondly, why did you pick Director of Policy and Procedures of all of the positions?
So I'll answer the first part of your question first. I'm running as an independent because I started with the tickets. I first communicated with Connor, and I asked, because I heard that a Director of Communication spot was still open on their ticket. Nothing went forward there. Then I interviewed with Imagine UW, but I was beaten out by Colton Schweitzer because I was going to be in New York for a week, and as we saw, I Skyped in. So they were a bit worried about that. And then I thought about it, because I could have run as any position. And honestly, I think this position's important to having someone running independently, or at least someone who makes a commitment to being apolitical or nonpartisan, because of the responsibility that is endowed in this position. Director of Policy and Procedures they go all over, and they communicate with almost every department in ASUW because they get quarterly reports. And it's also something, I didn't want to be running for one of the front positions like president or vice president, because I don't have enough experience to be in those positions. And I'm definitely not like the Andrew Lewis or the Connor gung-ho advocate there. I'm more of the behind the scenes, sending out the letters and talking on the phone and things like that. However, in terms of organizational stuff, I'm an officer in 3 organizations on campus, an officer in a nonprofit off campus, and I also am a member of at least 12 organizations. So I've been involved in a lot of organizations, and I've seen many different groups rise and fall according to their efficient and effective reporting, their belief in sticking to rules, their ability, if you will, to move. I see ASUW as kind of, it's a big, slow structure. Things get done, but the board of directors has retained a lot of power in a team to make things go fast from that. And I think that's an interesting thing to have. So I might try to change that if I were elected. I would like to see judicial have a little bit more responsibility back, because they're recommenders right now and can only make judgments in elections. I think there should be a little bit more of a balance. So this position is really important, in my opinion.
What is your major goal for advocacy next year? This is a position that works with OGR very closely. How would you see yourself working with them throughout the year?
In the ASUW Constitution and bylaws, the Director of Policy and Procedures is listed as an overseer of OGR. And in talking with staff members of OGR, and also in talking with just other student advocates, it's not really, you don't want to have a liaison who's an overseer. It's more being a partner. So I would want to work with OGR in a partnership term. So I would want to be a resource. I would want to make sure that we have a consistent student voice. This is really, really important to our lobbyists right now. They want a consistent student voice in everything that we do. And in my professional leadership class, I took it last quarter, we learned that it's really, really important to always be consistent and always know yourself, and to make sure to take care of your people. So if the director of OGR or the assistant director of OGR, if they're feeling disempowered, or if they're feeling like they can't get things done with their positional authority and adequate resources, then I'd want to help them. I'd like to help them in whatever capacity I could. That being said, the Director of Policy and Procedures also makes sure that they're doing their job. We would work with personnel, we would work with the president, and ensure that everyone, honestly, is doing the best they can.
What qualifies you for this position specifically? What relationship have you had with the various elements that this position would oversee? What qualifies you?
Okay, so Director of Policy and Procedures is someone who is involved in a lot of different committees. Legislative steering, special appropriations, the judicial. Director of Policy and Procedures chairs judicial. There liaison to STF. For each of these committees, I do have qualifications. So judicial, I've been involved in Pre-Law Society for 2 years. I'm currently treasurer, and I was also a debater in high school for 2 years. And I plan on being a lawyer or involved in something like that for the rest of my life. Yeah. In judicial, you hear complaints, or you hear rules interpretations. You don't know what's happening. You want someone wants advice. They submit an appeal, and I would want to work with a team like that, and I've worked with a team like that in my Model UN experience, my debate experience, in looking at rules according to how they're crafted, and having thousands of hours of experience in looking at rules closely. And models, you're looking at me and you're like, there's a little bit of skepticism here, but Model UN, you're literally sitting in a room for 40 hours at different, like 3-hour stint, 5-hour stint here, and you're crafting the rules of the world to make sure peace occurs, hopefully. Yeah. And it's a simulation, but it does give you that experience in seeing stuff and seeing what can work and what doesn't. And then debate, especially. Debate is incredible for learning how to look at rules and change them. And you learn how to argue both sides in debate. You are forced, in fact, in a tournament to go three negatives, 3 affirmatives. So I got a perspective analysis from that. For STF, I know how to design a video game. I'm also I know a little bit about technology on a wide spectrum, so I would be able to provide kind of an input on a different levels. So like I'm a president of a club here, but I'm also involved in student government. I'm also involved in nonprofits. So there's a little bit of I'm spread out around campus, so I could help there. For legislative steering, debate experience, you're crafting the legislative agenda. And it's really important to, in my opinion, to have a lot of input there. And you do have you do have a lot of input there. And in Senate, we discuss the legislative agenda. So I do have experience there. As chair of the academic committee in Senate, we discuss legislation. That's the entirety of what we do. So I do have some strong experience there. And steering too. Steering, we discuss things. For special appropriations, I'm currently a member of special appropriations. I wanted to see if I could get appointed to this committee because it's really important to me that there's fiscal responsibility. The association ran out of money. There's more requests than the amount we have to give, and this has happened to almost all groups that give money on campus. And so some RSOs that were planning to request money for later events, they're kind of like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? So I'd like to see if we could, I don't know, work something out with the budget now. Since once we're done with the things giving out money, we work on the budget. And Special Approps is currently working with F&B. They're both finance and budget. They're both in the same room. So I will be right there putting the budget analysis skills that I have from managing over $40,000 a year right now to helping the association. Because I believe in fiscal responsibility to my core.
Well said. Well said. That's all the time we have for, but I just want to thank you for coming out and talking to us, just having a little interaction so we can post something and let people hear your voice for who you are. So thank you for coming out.